Oh, good morning. Good morning. Day's Thursday. Yeah. So cooking along already this morning. Camped at Steeltrap Gap last night. It was a real nice camp area. There's good water there, but man, it is a long haul down and a long haul up for that water. So if you decide to stop there, be prepared. Okay. But man, it was a really pretty night last night. Had a bunch of other folks camp. So had Gone with the Wind, Rhett and Scarlett, had Peas and Carrots there with us, and another young lady. So it was a really awesome night. Good company, and everything slept pretty well. And so did good yesterday, hit my mileage goals. Shooting for Dix Creek today, a little around 10 plus today. And we should be in good shape. So just trying to make sure I keep enough food in me, man, hoping for some trail magic maybe at Dix Creek, and I can load up on something to make sure that tomorrow's an even better success. So, but at any rate, it's a beautiful day, and we're hiking. So off we go.
And then everything changed.
Hey guys, Todd here, and you're watching Hiking a Different Path. And no, your eyes are not messed up. We are obviously not on the Appalachian Trail. I'm in my home studio, and yes, I am off the trail. Now, I know what you're screaming in your head at the screen right now. What in the heck happened, dead man? Did you blow out a knee? Did you fall? Were you severely concussed? Did a bear attack you? No, that wouldn't have happened, because that would have been posted on Facebook, because they post everything on Facebook. I know, you were bitten by a rabid porcupine. No, none of those things. And I'm gonna tell you what happened, but I need to tell you what it wasn't, first of all. So, yes, early on and through the whole 2 weeks that I was on the trail, I had appetite and nutrition problems. Now, I made no secret about my inability to get enough calories in my system from day to day to maintain a strong hiking presence. There were a number of days where I was doing 8 or 10 miles on little more than breakfast bars, crackers, and tuna. Now, while this was a challenge, particularly on the following day's hike from a low-calorie day, I was getting better and my appetite was improving steadily. I had some small physical issues as well. I had a pretty bad blister on my left heel. Blister burst immediately. I lost the skin cover as well, and it was about the size of a quarter, but I kept it slathered in antibiotic cream. I had a waterproof cover pad over it and KT tape to keep the friction to a minimum. Now, while slightly painful at times, it was healing slowly, and sore is just sore, and you're gonna deal with sore somethings on any through hike attempt. My knees, my back were fine, and a good night's rest in the hammock heals a multitude of soreness sins. The miles were getting better, and I was doing fine there too. I did the full 10.1 miles from Steeltrap Gap to Dix Creek up and over Kelly's Knob, which, by the way, made Trey Mountain look like a day hike softie. Now, I don't know who names these mountains, but Kelly's ain't a knob. It's a full-blown mountain, people. It deserves a whole lot more respect than it's getting. So if it wasn't the physical, if it wasn't the food or the miles, what was it? Honestly, I was just so dang lonely, and I missed my wife and kids too much. Now, I know it sounds a little silly on the first take, but allow me to explain just a little bit. First, let me take you back to the day we got to Amicalola Falls and registered for the hike with the ATC. Now, see that photo? All those smiling faces? We were having a great time together, even in the mist and the rain and the slog up the path for my wife to the base of the steps going up to the falls. Now look at this photo. Here we are at the parking lot at Springer Mountain. Note who isn't smiling. Looking back in my phone for these photos, I noticed I took 3 pictures of the same moment, and I'm not smiling in any of the 3. Second, this was not my first time on the AT. I've done a section hike from years before from the Knock to Fontana Dam and back. I did that section by myself, and I hated almost every second of the hike. I made some physical mistakes, logistical, equipment, So I attributed my perceived failure to those issues. Now, go forward a few years to a second section hike that I did from Deep Gap to the Knock. Now, this time I took my son with me. I loved every second of that hike. The miles were long and hard, and my son was 15 at the time, but we had a great time. In the end, we were both teary-eyed at the prospect of leaving the trail and stepping back into the real world. I had prepared far better physically and logistically for that hike, so I attributed the success of that hike to better planning and execution. I thought the fact that my son and I had such a great time together was just a bonus cherry, and I was grateful for it. Guys, I planned my butt off for this hike. Logistically, mentally, physically, I had the best equipment I could pull together, given a decade of hiking, camping, and surviving in the backwoods. I knew it was going to be hard emotionally to be away from my family, and I knew I loved my wife and my kids a lot. But I guess I didn't understand the depth of that attachment until now. Now, I met a lot of hikers in those 2 weeks, and I listened to their stories and why they were hiking. The reasons were as diverse as the people sharing them. I met a lot of people who were, in some way, large or small, running from something. Bad relationships, bad marriages, bad choices, a lack of direction. Now, that's not to diminish their reasons for doing the hike. Their reasons are personal and valid for them. I wasn't running from a dang thing. I have a great marriage. My kids are amazingly good, well-adjusted, and happy, despite having me for a father. My wife and I marvel consistently that we haven't broken the kids yet. And I ran into a lot of people who had a significant other with them on their hike. Boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, parents, kids, and even their pets. I was constantly faced with the fact that I was struggling with letting go of home, my loved ones, my attachments to them, and my responsibilities to them. The last straw for me came at Steeltrap Gap. Two couples, Rhett and Scarlett, peas and carrots. They camped with me that night. And both of these couples were married. First pair for many years, peas and carrots for just 6 months, respectively. I joked with them and talked to them that night, and we had a large time. And inside, I was dying a death of 1,000 cuts. I was so damn lonely, and I missed my wife and kids so much. So the next morning, as I was leaving camp, the comment of having difficulty letting go came up once again, this time with peas and carrots. And later that morning, as I came to a water source, topped off, ate a snack, I found that I had cell service, and I called my wife. And we wept together on the side of that trail, and I told her I was ready to come home. And she tried to talk me out of it, but I knew it was the right thing to do. I hated what I was doing. I hated every step I was taking. I'd get to the top of a mountain, look at the view and think, nah, no rest for the dead, keep hiking. They say you should never quit the trail if it's raining or you're tired or you're at a parking area. The last part may not be true, but the sun was bright, it was warm, I was making the miles easier that day than any other day before. I felt fine physically, I was just brokenhearted. Now, I won't say I was homesick either. That thinking implies that a call from home or a care package can soothe the ache. Nothing short of holding my wife and kids and living life with them was going to cure this. Now, do not hear me say that people who do through hikes don't love their families. That's not true. The Appalachian Trail is not one size fits all, however. There's a reason only 30% of the people that attempt it do the full 2,200 miles. People get off the trail for lots of different reasons. This one was mine. So, will I go back to the trail anytime soon? No, I don't know. I don't think so. But that could change. I mean, a week or two down the road, anything can happen. It may just be my destiny to do the entirety of the AT in lashes, long A-section hikes. So now there was a moment where my son considered doing this hike with me, but in the end he chose to go ahead and start college. So maybe in a few years when he finishes college, he'll decide to take that opportunity to do the AT, and maybe, just maybe, he'll let the old man tag along. Now, at present, my wife and I are in a very unique position. We've saved a lot of money with the expectation that I'd be gone for 6 months and we'd need funds to carry us for up to another year after I finished. Well, all that money is still there, and we have time. If there's a moment to change what I do or how I do it, it's now. Options are a great thing. So I'm going to leave you with this. You can do a thru hike of the Appalachian Trail. I don't feel like a failure. I learned a valuable lesson of how deeply important my family is to me. And if you're waiting to hear me say that the hike should be more important than your marriage, your kids, or your relationships, well, you're going to be waiting for a long time. However, a thru hike does need to be your sole focus. I couldn't pull that part off. You can. So now I'm a statistic. I'm part of that group of persons who have tried to hike the whole of the AT in a single attempt and stopped for whatever reason. Better to have tried and, well, you know the rest. I'm not sorry for the decision. If it's disappointed any of you, well, you might want to think about where you're placing your hopes and dreams. I appreciate the fact that you guys were following me, but in the end, the name is Todd, not God. I'm just a dead man walking through this life. Just a common man doing my best to love and serve well a very uncommon God as I hike a different path from much of the rest of the world. So with that, I'll say, I love you, Mama. And for the rest of you guys, take a hike. Love somebody along the way.